Hey everyone, I'm Tommy with StudioScents and welcome back. Today we're going to be talking about Missoni Parfum Pour Homme. Missoni has been around for a while. They've got about 15 or 16 fragrances in their catalog. They have an affinity towards kind of a Mediterranean style or vibe, very similar, imbibed into Missoni Parfum Pour Homme. The parfum is the concentration, so you've got a little bit more essential oils than you would in, say, the eau de toilette or eau de cologne. What that means basically is you don't want to go super heavy-handed on the sprays. You want to go a little bit lighter, especially going to be in an area with other people in the vicinity. You don't want to be super loud and blow everyone out, so go easy on those sprays. I would say 1 or 2 sprays on each side of the body, like a spray here, spray there. You're good.
A brief presentation for the Missoni bottle. It is a plum colored, very attractive, almost like a deep purple, looks like a dark brown in certain light. The bottle itself is what I consider the perfect size to fit in the palm of your hand. Your forefinger fits comfortably and perfectly over the very top of the atomizer. The cap is metallic and magnetized, which is a nice feature. Therefore, it snaps directly to the bottle with just a gentle touch, and you can hold the bottle with the cap. The magnet is strong enough to hold the bottle without any fear of it actually flipping off and of course breaking your bottle.
Top notes, you've got lemon, grapefruit, and lavender. So you've got that burst of citrus in the top notes. We have an odd mix of spice and fruit in the middle notes. We've got ginger, we've got jasmine, and then boom, some green apple, or just apple. But it smells very green and bright, actually. So you've got a nice introduction with the top notes being citrus. You've got a citrus note of apple in the mid that's a handshake and a welcome from the open to the mid notes. And then you get into a little bit more of the spice. You've got some the ginger and the jasmine working together. Jasmine a little bit on the sweeter side, ginger a little bit bitter and hard, but more like pepper in terms of vibrancy and wakefulness. And then going down into the mid, we get an entire like forest. It's like woods. We've got oak, we've got birch, we've got sandalwood, and then we have that binder that wraps everything together with the patchouli and the musk. So we've got a kind of a musk, I don't know, think of it in terms of a taco. You've got patchouli and musk, which is your outer shell, and then you've got all your woods in there, which is your meats, and then your lettuce and tomato or some of the fruits, and then the cheese are your spices. And you take a bite of that taco and you say, this is a Mediterranean taco. Because it has that warmth and that vibe of Bleu de Chanel. It has kind of a Dior Sauvage feel to it, but less powdery, less aldehydic. Although I did get, in the very open, some of the mid, I did get kind of a synthetic synthesized chemical feel to Missoni, but that went away completely in the dry down. The dry down is super mellow for a parfum. So you don't necessarily get the loudness that you are promised in the open and in the mid. In the dry down, some of the loudness goes away, and it behaves more like an EDT than an EDP. That's not necessarily a bad thing, but it's just something you got to keep in mind if you expect it to last all day long. You're going to get probably 12 hours out of it, but your sillage, your projection, is probably not going to be that great. So heat revitalization, spritz of water to revitalize it, you'll get an extra couple of hours out of it. But Missoni doesn't necessarily perform like some of the other parfums out there in terms of, it's like that dog that barks, but when you start walking towards him, he runs away. It's all bark, no bite. I'm not saying Missoni is all bark, no bite, but it's a lot of bark. Its bite doesn't necessarily live up to its promise. Now everyone is saying, oh, it smells just like Dior Sauvage. It really doesn't. It's definitely said itself. I mean, you can definitely tell the difference. But I think what they mean in general is kind of like that Dylan Blue, Dior Sauvage, Gucci Guilty Absolute kind of sensation feel in that category of fragrances. And it definitely does belong in that category of fragrances. I will say this, and I say this in almost every review as an aside, but I definitely want to focus more on it on this review, specifically because of the way Missoni Parfum Pour Homme performed on my skin. I don't like it on my skin. I don't know, it has almost a metallic, bitter, aldehydic, all the extremes of things that we don't like. And it's just the chemical reaction on my skin. So I'm saying it's me, because definitely on the strip, that's not what I got out of it, especially in the dry down. So in the dry down on my skin, whatever it is in my chemistry, it completely kills what I really like about it on the strip. Definitely try a sample before you buy a 100ml bottle. Now, if you're gonna buy a 50ml, that's perfectly fine. I think it retails now for around 60, 63 for a 50ml. Still pretty good bit of change to spend on something that may or may not work with your body chemistry. So if you do have a retailer close by that you can get a sample of, or a friend that has a bottle that you can spray a couple sprays on, try it all day, see what you think, especially in the dry down. It's gonna smell good in the open and in the mid, just like it did on me, but in the dry down, it may formulate some changes depending upon the chemistry of your body. For your sillage and longevity, you're probably gonna get about 2 to 3 to 4 hours of projection, and then you're gonna get maybe about 6 to 8 hours of longevity. Now that is a little bit conservative, but it's also based on my chemistry. I've read examples and situations of where it's lasted a lot longer on people. So could it last longer? Sure, but for me it didn't. So the primary takeaway in this is make sure to check it on your skin to make sure you've got a compatible chemistry for Missoni Parfum Pour Homme before you go splurging on a full 100ml bottle, and then you find out you've got something that's just gonna sit on the shelf and gather dust, or you're gonna have to decant or sell to someone. It is a great spring and summer fragrance. It is a little heavy-handed for winter time. If you want something to remind you of summertime days, especially like evening in that twilight where the heat of the day begins melting away and the ground starts pooling up some cooler air, giving a kind of a cooler nighttime vibe where the dew starts spreading out on all the vegetation. That's kind of the feel that Missoni Parfum Pour Homme gives. And especially, I don't know, I think in terms of grape leaves and things like that, and vegetation, because it is very fig, Mediterranean, even though it doesn't have any of those ingredients in it, it has that vibe and feel to it for sure. All right, guys, that's it for my review of Missoni Parfum Pour Homme. I'm really glad that you stopped by. I hope you got some good takeaways, especially making sure that you sample it first before you buy. It's always a good idea with anything. Typically don't recommend blind buying. If you did blind buy, I'm sure that you could find something in it to enjoy, or have a friend or family member possibly gift it or re-gift it to, so that they would enjoy it. That's gonna be it for me, guys. I'm Tommy with StudioScents, and I'll see you next time.